So joining us now is Jonathan Turley. He's a constitutional attorney and Fox News contributor. Jonathan, I want to pick up with you where Judge Pirro left off. Kind of an interesting question, right? How is it that Kim Potter is going to spend Christmas behind bars and Alec Baldwin is not?
Well, there are differences, obviously, in the case. Baldwin did believe that he had a harmless weapon in his hand, a prop. I said in previous columns that I think he faces considerable civil liability, but criminal liability is not likely unless he's being held for some type of negligence in his role as a producer. But in this case, you can question the result without questioning the jury. The jury may have gotten the law right. The question is whether the law itself is wrong. This is a criminalization of a negligent act under a highly ambiguous standard. The judge tried, and I think she did a great job in explaining to the jury how it had to reach a decision. But in the end, it was just cloaked in ambiguity. And this jury was originally a hung jury. They went to the court because they didn't feel that they could reach a conclusion. They only reached a conclusion with the prodding of the court. But the question that follows this case is whether the law itself needs to be examined. I have a column coming on USA Today on that, because Minnesota needs to look at whether these types of weapon confusion cases should be handled as criminal matters, or whether the standard should be clarified. If it is changed, by the way, there could be a request for clemency from the governor if that change would have benefited Officer Potter. But the reason that all of us were sort of all over the board on this is that we were all dealing with a standard that could be virtually anything. Half the people were talking as if simple negligence would do it, and the other half seemed to be requiring an intentional act. And that's a problem with the law.
So to get into that a little bit deeper, as I understand it, so the prosecution didn't need to establish intent for either of these charges, for man one or man two. And then based on what Judge Pirro just told me 30 seconds ago, it sounds like the jury probably was not supposed to take into account the remorse that Kim Potter showed on the stand, or the remorse that she reportedly showed that day in April on the scene after she shot Dante Wright. Is that part of the equation that needs adjusting in your mind?
Well, part of the reason a hung jury would have been a benefit is that she could have had a different defense. I was very critical of the defense and the prosecution in the case. I didn't feel this was the strongest defense that was put on. Remorse itself is not a factor, an element to this crime. But what you saw immediately after the shooting was shock. It was an officer who was in disbelief as to what occurred. That is relevant. I think the jury understood that it was not an intentional act, but if it's not intentional, how could you say it was a conscious disregard of the harm? And that's what everyone gets stuck on. So what do you think? I mean, if you're a judge in this case, what are you to do with this? How do you think the judge should approach her sentencing here? Yeah, I'm not familiar with this judge's sentencing history. I think she's been a very fine judge in this trial. I think she's been really the gold standard. You do have someone who will be facing an aggravating factor, as it's called, for sentencing, because she was using her official authority as a law enforcement officer. That aggravates your sentence. But there are mitigating factors. She obviously doesn't have a record. She has shown considerable remorse. She has very close ties, obviously, in service to her community. I would be surprised if the court went to the top of that 15-year range. Usually,
which is the max, right? That's the ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, usually you would see something towards the middle. This is a police officer, so you might see a year tacked on, even two. But the judge now has to do justice in the sentencing. Doing justice means that you're not any longer looking at guilt, But weighing all the factors, including the defendant's remorse, and coming up with something that does real justice for everyone. For the Wright family, this verdict brings closure. It brings an important element of justice. Now the court has to look at all sides in the totality of these circumstances, reach a sentence that is fair and right and just.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.